time for another Horror Review Sunday. Let's talk about The Night of the Creeps by Fred Dekker. He made this right before doing The Monster Squad a year later, and he didn't make a whole lot of movies. I feel like these are the two that he's known for, and I'm not even sure if he made anything else after this. But yeah, he didn't make a whole lot. He wrote some stuff. I think he also wrote the story for House, the first House. But yeah, this was like his first directing. This was his directorial debut. Jesus Christ, and then he did Monster Squad after this. I'm not sure what he did after that. So yeah, let's talk about Night of the Creeps, shall we? Starring Tom Atkins. Thrill Me. This movie was supposedly written because of that line alone. Like that was the starting point. Like Fred Dekker one night said, "Thrill me." And he's like, "I'm going to write a character that says thrill me. Why is this character saying that? Who is this guy?" And that was where he branched off, and we got Night of the Creeps because of that line, "Thrill me." It's even on the back. It says, "Thrill me." I'm going to start saying that now every time I pick up a phone. Thrill me. So yeah, this movie is really just a mixture of all kinds of genres. This movie starts off like a sci-fi alien movie, then it's a slasher, and then it's back to aliens and creatures, and then it's zombies and aliens once more. Like, it's all over the place, and I like that about it. So yeah, there you go. There's my first positive. Let's get into that. What are my likes for this movie? I really like the fact that this is really just an amalgam of freaking genres, a mixture of all these different things, and I just think that's very fascinating and unique about this movie, that we get to see all these different things going on at the same time. It doesn't get very convoluted or anything because of it. It's easy to follow, and I like it. I like that we get this black and white opening, and it really does capture the look and feel of the 1950s. So this is a decent budget horror movie, and I like that style choice. That choice to make it black and white in the opening. I'm glad the whole movie wasn't black and white, but yeah. So another thing I like is Chris and JC in this movie, the main two best friends that we're following. Their dialogue is just fantastic. I love the way they communicate with one another. They're just, the guy on with the crushes, JC, his sense of humor. He's very confident, and his friend's very shy. He's like his wingman. He's trying to get him laid because he knows that he can't get laid. He feels like he can't. He doesn't have a chance because of his disability. So he's helping out his buddy. And I just love them as best buds. And then they're doing this Pledge Week thing, which is a plot in a lot of horror movies back in the 80s, the whole Pledge Week thing, whether it's a sorority or a fraternity, it's always a pledge in these movies. You gotta go capture this, you gotta go do this. I don't get it. I would never do that shit. I don't give a fuck if you accept me or not into your stupid little club. I'm not stealing the corpse. I'm not fucking a chicken for you. You can suck a dick. I'm not joining your little group. I don't get that shit. People die. People get killed because of those stupid things. And I don't get it. Just to be accepted, fuck you. I don't understand it. Also, another good character in this movie is Detective Cameron, played by the great Tom Atkins. He's got the best lines, and I love his character. He's got the quote of the movie. The good news is your dates are here. The bad news is they're dead. And yeah, I just love his character. He just doesn't give a shit. He's seen death so many times, and he's just such a fun character. And he's also very depressed. Like, I didn't even realize it until this viewing that he was trying to kill himself in that one scene. It's like, holy shit, like he was gonna end it all. So yeah, and then the gore, when you do get it in this movie, it's pretty good. You got a lot of exploding heads, a lot of shivers. They look like Cronenberg shivers. That's what it looked like. That's what it reminded me of. And the girl character, her name is Cronenberg, and a lot of characters in this movie are named after horror directors. That was a kind of a trend that was starting in the mid 80s, with Jason Lives and then Prom Night 2. Everybody was like naming characters after horror directors and horror masters and whatnot. This one does that too. And yeah, you got some good gore. Not a lot of it. I would have liked more. More is always good. More is better. This one could have used more, but you do get some. And you also get some nudity. So that it checks that box. And I think that overall the acting's serviceable from a lot of the characters. It's not terrible or anything. It's fine, and I think it's shot well too. So it's got that going on. Some good cinematography, some cool lighting, some scenes, just some good shots in this movie. And the final scene at the sorority was pretty cool. I read that they actually went back and added some of the action sequences in there with like the shed scene with the lawnmower that was added. Man, good thing, because without that, it would be even more like anticlimactic without that stuff. Because they get there, they shoot like one or two zombies, and then it would just be over without that whole scene. So there really should have been more now that I think about it. Like, it's cool, like seeing all the things come out of their head and they're like shooting the flamethrowers. It's cool. And you can see like Tom Atkins like shooting all these people, doing like a 360. Cool stuff, but there's really not a whole lot of it. There could have been a lot more. So, but yeah, as for any issues I have with this movie, I feel like there is some like writing issues in the movie. I just had some questions here and there, some things that didn't really line up. And the second act, I was kind of slowly kind of losing interest. Like it was starting to slow down some, just a little bit. I just felt like the pacing wasn't that great, especially in like the second act. There should have been more going on in the middle. Like they really just kind of save everything towards the end. Like you get like a couple of people that get killed in the second act, but it's all cutaway stuff in the middle. Like the janitor dude and the scientist guy. Like every time something's about to happen, it cuts away. And then we'll see like their body later on. And it does that way too many times. It does that a few too many times where it just keeps cutting away from the action. Like when the guy goes to the window also, and then his body's over there, and then it's just the grandma who gets killed by the zombie that comes out of the ground. It's all off camera. So there's a lot of stuff happening off camera in this movie. I did not like that. So that was kind of bumming me out. But outside of that, I really enjoy the movie. I think it's a classic. It's unique. It's got all kinds of different things going on. It's got a great cast, good characters, and it's really fun overall. I think it's rewatchable. It's entertaining. It just could have used more in it, more in the middle, and a bigger grand finale at the end. A lot more head explosions, a lot more shivers going out of people's heads, and then I would have liked it even more. But still a good movie, still a recommendation. When it comes to Night of the Creeps, go out and buy it. So this movie opens up with this like rogue alien stealing a science experiment, which is these shivers. I'm gonna keep calling them that because that's what they look like. They look like the Cronenberg Shivers movie, or I guess the creeps. They're the creeps, and I like that we see captions in English what they're saying, but we also see like captions in their language also, in their like alien font. That was pretty funny. And then this movie is opening in 1959. We got the whole Lover's Lane thing, so it's like opening like a slasher movie. And then we got like this axe murderer on the loose, and he chops the girl's head off. And meanwhile the boyfriend gets the slug in his mouth, the creep, and I guess he passed out right away from it. And they found his body, and they decided for some reason to freeze him like Walt Disney for 30 years or so, like a corpsicle. And so then it's 1986, and of course we got the cute girl who isn't gonna date the dork. She's gonna date the douchebag. And the dork wants to get with the girl, but he doesn't feel like he deserves her. He's not worthy. But luckily, he's got a cool best friend who's going to try to set him up with her. And so it's pledge week. They're trying to join this fraternity for some dumbass reason. And they tell them that they have to go steal the body. So they bump into that body from 1959 and they release it. And that's how the movie gets going. We got the slug things going out everywhere, infecting people one by one. And they run out of there screaming like banshees, as the janitor says, right? And yeah, I don't know why they froze him. That's a question I had. And we get a great introduction to Atkins' character. We get like this Jaws shot, like the girl in the water, then him on the beach. It zooms in as people walk by. It's the same shot, I swear, from Jaws. And so yeah, Tom Atkins on the beach, sipping out of a coconut, just with hot babes around him in bikinis. Like, what a great introduction to his character. Him dreaming of better times. So we find out that once they get in your head, they actually plant, they lay eggs in your head. So then that's why there's multiple shooting out of his head later on. The janitor do and everybody else. So that's crazy to think about. And that would just suck. Having a bunch of aliens being planted into your brain and they all just come pouring out. And so then the guy just instinctively goes back to the same sorority, thinking his girlfriend's still there. The frozen corpse, he goes back there, and we see a little bit of nudity from our main final girl here. Although she's not the final girl, because there's a bunch of girls at this sorority who live. So, but so he's at the window, and she screams. Like, this is like the second story, right? So this corpsicle is at the window. She screams. It cuts away, and then we see that body on the front porch, dead. Like, did she move his body? It's just very convenient because they were told to put a corpse on someone else's porch, and then his body ended up on their porch, and now the frat guys are mad at JC and Chris. Like, we didn't tell you to put the corpse on their porch, somebody else's. But it's like, how did that body land there so conveniently to make them mad at them? Like, that needed to happen for this reason, but how did that happen? The corpse dropped dead on the second story right near the window, not at the port. I don't understand how the body got there. Another question I have. So we get the screaming like Banshees line. Why is he even there? Like, why would the witness still be there when they're interrogating the people? Like, hey, just so you know, this is the guy who's responsible for us interrogating you right now. I am losing my voice. But I just thought that was really weird. It's like, why is he still there? Like, he would not be here. Like, hey, this is the guy. This is the janitor. He's the one who ratted you guys out. So he wouldn't need to be there still. So then JC, he foreshadows his own death. He's like, I'd rather have aliens, invading my brains and laying eggs and shit. And then that's exactly what happens. And then we get a zombie cat, Gordon the cat. So we get like a cat scare, which I'm never a fan of. But it's really not a scare because it doesn't even scare her. Like, it jumps in her lap and she's more excited that that happens. So she's not even scared. So it's like a cat scare for the audience, but not the character. So that was different. And then we see Monster Squad graffiti in the bathroom. And then the year after this came out, Fred Dekker made Monster Squad. And so we find out that Tom Atkins killed the axe murderer in 1959 and just for some reason buried his body in the backyard of that girl's sorority. Of all the places that he could have buried that body, he chose the backyard of that sorority. And now the house mother, her house is on top of that. And then we see, this is a cool scene where you hear like the banging and then the hand comes through and then, the grandma gets killed, and now we got like this corpse just walking around town, and the cops find him, and then Tom Atkins goes there, and he has to kill him once more, shoots him right in the face. And none of these cops, do they think that's a costume? They don't really seem all that surprised or confused about it. Just like, the two in the car are at first like, holy shit. But I don't know. We don't really get to see much of their reaction to it and them like questioning like what the hell's going on here. And even when like the things are going across the ground after and they're like going right by their feet, they don't really have a reaction to it. I guess they didn't see it. And why aren't those things attacking them? They're just slithering right by them, the cops, right after that corpse gets shot. They should have been attacked, right? It should be like trying to go for their mouths. And then I love when Tom Atkins at the very end, he's got like the duct tape right over his mouth. Very smart. So yeah, then after that, the house mom gets killed, axe guy gets killed again. We get some more nudity. We get a cool, awesome, slasher-like, shower scene. Something out of a slasher movie like Slumber Party Massacre. Just this shot panning from girl to girl, lathering up. Very good stuff. And then, so, this is the biggest question I have. So, what's his face, JC. So he records a tape. He's infected in the bathroom. He gets infected, and then he finds out that fire is the weakness. So he goes to the boiler room. He's right next to like the furnace or whatever, and we see that he died there. But he recorded a tape. It sounds like he's dying at the end of it, but yet somehow that tape somehow teleported to Chris's room. I don't understand. So, like, did he record that tape in his bedroom, left it there, and then walked off to go die down there? Or did he... That's the only thing that makes sense, but in that tape, it sounds like he dies. Towards the very end, it sounds like he's dying and that he died. And how did he leave that tape in there, but his body's all the way down there? It doesn't make sense. So explain that to me, because that's really like the biggest plot hole in the movie. So if you can explain that one to me, it could help me understand this movie a little bit more, how that happened. It's a little nitpick, but it seems like a plot hole. So after that, we get Dick Miller in here. So that's always cool to see a Dick Miller cameo, like in Chopping Mall or Terminator or The Howling. And then Chris, he prevents Atkins from committing suicide. He's got like all the ovens on, he's got the gas on, he's gonna like kill himself because he just can't move on from his girlfriend dying 30 years ago. Jesus Christ, buddy, it's been 30 years and now you're gonna commit suicide because of it? But yeah, so Chris really saves his life. And then we also get a cool cameo here. She's a very small character, but I started to notice her towards the end here. Suzanne Snyder, is that her name? She's in Return of the Living Dead 2 and Killer Clowns from Outer Space. She's in here. She's the blonde girl at the sorority. And then the bus flips over because of the dog on the road, and the dog goes in there and infects all of them. So we got like, all these zombies coming out of the bus, and they go to the prom, or, to the place to pick up their dates to go to prom, I guess. And we get that cool line from Tom Atkins that's on the poster. And then they also steal a flamethrower. And this is when it gets intense and awesome and just gory. All the heads just popping open, all the slugs coming out. This is when shit gets real fun. And then we get this Halloween 2 ending here with Tom Atkins in the basement. He's like, I'm going to kill myself by lighting this match. So it just really reminded me of like Dr. Loomis in the hospital. And he's even kind of dressed like Dr. Loomis. He's got like the big coat on, right? So, yeah. And that whole pile, there's like a whole pile down there. And the effect looks weird. It's like a stop motion, I think, effect. It kind of just looks weird when you see them all down there and just like a few of them like waving around. And so then, the main guy gets the girl in the end, and we get this alternate ending. This is a director's cut, so that's the ending I saw, with Tom Atkins walking down the road as a burnt corpse, and he's still got like a lit cigarette in his mouth, and then he just falls down. And then now the aliens are looking for them? Where were they for so long? Those things crashed in 1959, and they're still out there in 1986, just roaming around the cemetery with a giant spotlight for anybody to see. Luckily, they're all distracted by the house fire. But really, that's not being clever at all. Everyone's gonna see you, so they're not like trying to hide their presence. They're out in the open. So that was just kind of dumb. That was silly. It's like, what the hell? They're not trying to hide at all. They're just out there looking for these things. 30 years later, they still haven't found them. Did they just now finally start looking again? I don't know. But yeah, that's the end of the movie. So fun movie, very unique. What are your thoughts on this movie? Let me know in the comments below. Is it your favorite movie of 1986? Check out my top 10 of 1986 ranking and find out where it made it on my list, if it did at all. I won't spoil if it's my number one or not, but go check that out. So yeah, let me know all your thoughts about this movie. And as always, if you like what you've seen here, you can hit this like button and become a subscriber today just by clicking on my cartoon face in about 5 seconds. And until next time, auf Wiedersehen.